All right, let's dive in. You know those incredibly common, sometimes really persistent fungal infections?
Hmm.
The kind billions of people deal with globally, but that, well, often fly under the radar in conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a struggle that feels, well, as old as time, really. And for millennia, you had societies all over, ancient Egypt, traditional China, they were looking to nature for solutions.
Right. And today we're taking a deep dive into a stack of sources you've brought to us, all really zeroing in on natural oils and their potential to fight fungus.
Mm-hmm.
The central question our sources seem to be wrestling with is a fascinating one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can these sort of time-honored, nature-based remedies actually stand up to modern scientific scrutiny?
It's a really critical question, especially when you think about the sheer scale of the problem. The sources, they highlight that over 1 billion people worldwide are affected by some kind of fungal
A
infection.
billion people. Wow.
Yeah, and nail fungus alone impacts something like, what was it, 14% of the global population?
Which is just huge. And as the sources also point out, um, while traditional treatments exist, and look, they're effective for
For
many,
sure.
they can come with downsides, side effects, the growing concern of resistance, and often, yeah, significant cost.
Definitely the cost. So there's this powerful resurgence of interest, really, in exploring what natural compounds can actually do.
So our mission in this deep dive, basically guided by your sources, is to unpack the science behind 5 key natural oils:
Hmm.
tea tree, oregano, lavender, lemongrass, and almond.
Hmm. The big ones in these sources.
And really examine the evidence, see if nature truly offers a viable, scientifically supported alternative, or maybe even a complement in this fight.
Exactly. Let's see what the science says.
Okay, let's start by just quickly touching on that historical connection again, the one mentioned in the sources. It's more than just a fun fact, right?
No, absolutely not.
That long history of practical use, that seems to be what actually prompted modern scientists to even start looking at these oils seriously in the first place.
Precisely. It's that bridge from, ancient empirical knowledge, what people observed worked, to today's lab investigations. And the research, it's revealing some genuinely surprising findings.
Okay, let's kick off then with probably the most widely recognized one, tea tree oil, the Australian wonder.
Hmm.
What do the sources tell us about Melaleuca alternifolia?
Right. So this oil is famous, and traditionally, Aboriginal peoples in Australia, they used it extensively for all sorts of skin ailments. What the research really validates, as highlighted in your sources, is its significant antifungal capability.
Okay, what does that research actually look like? Is there, specific evidence the sources point to?
Yes, yeah. There are some compelling studies mentioned. A landmark one in the Journal of Family Practice, for instance, found tea tree oil to be comparable in effectiveness to traditional antifungal meds.
Comparable. Really?
Yeah, specifically for toenail fungus in that study, with a reported 60% of participants showing, significant improvement.
Wow. Comparable to prescription meds.
Yeah.
That's a powerful finding right there. How does the science explain why it works, though? What's the mechanism?
Well, the key seems to be a compound called terpinenforol,
Okay.
which is typically present in pretty high concentrations, the sources say, between like 30% and 48%. Studies, like one mentioned from medical mycology, show this compound directly attacks the fungal cell membranes.
Attacks them how?
It essentially disrupts them, pokes holes, if you like,
Mm.
causes the fungal cells to leak their contents and, well, die.
So it's not just like slowing growth, it's actively dismantling the fungus.
Exactly.
And the sources note its effectiveness against some really common culprits.
Exactly. It shows validated activity against widespread species like Candida albicans, common cause of yeast infections.
Right.
Trichophyton rubrum, which is often behind athlete's foot and nail fungus.
Okay.
And even Aspergillus niger, a mold that can cause respiratory or skin issues.
And I saw a 2013 study mentioned, I think, in the International Journal of Dermatology. It compared a 25% tea tree solution to prescription treatments. What'd that find?
Yeah, that one confirmed comparable results in effectiveness, but, and this is key, it highlighted a significant advantage. Significantly fewer side effects compared to the prescription options they tested.
Ah, okay. Fewer side effects.
Which points to its potential as, an effective treatment, but maybe with a better tolerance profile for a lot of people.
Which is a huge point for users worried about harsh reactions, isn't it?
Definitely.
It seems tea tree oil offers this kind of double whammy effect, too, treating the infection and making the area less hospitable for fungi moving forward.
Yeah, what's fascinating there is that balance, potency, but also relative gentleness. It offers that dual benefit, which the research seems to confirm.
All right, let's shift gears then. From the Australian wonder to something often dubbed nature's antibiotic, oregano oil.
Mm-hmm.
And the sources are careful to distinguish this. We're talking true oregano oil from Oreganum vulgare, not just the kitchen spice.
Absolutely. And the sources really emphasize that distinction because the potent effects are tied to specific compounds concentrated in the oil.
Right.
The main active player here is carvacrol,
Carvacrol.
which makes up a large percentage, typically between, say, 50% and 80%.
And how does carvacrol work, according to the research? Is it similar to tea tree?
Studies, including one mentioned in the Brazilian Journal of Microbiology, demonstrate its broad-spectrum activity. So, yes, wide range of fungi. The mechanism is similar in principle, disrupting the cell membrane, but perhaps even more aggressive than tea tree oil.
Oh, aggressive.
Yeah, it seems to severely disrupt the fungal cell membrane and interfere with vital processes the fungus needs to survive. It's quite potent.
I was really struck by the mention of that Georgetown University study in the sources. It suggested oregano oil might be more effective than some conventional antifungals against certain candida strains. It's a pretty bold claim.
It is a bold claim. And the clinical evidence cited, like from the 2010 Journal of Applied Microbiology, it seems to back up this potency. It showed it could completely inhibit the growth of several fungal species, even at very low concentrations.
Wow. And crucially, the sources mentioned research, I think in phytotherapy research, showing its effectiveness against drug-resistant fungal strains.
Yes, that's a major challenge in modern medicine, right? So finding natural compounds effective here is pretty significant.
Absolutely.
And what's also notable about oregano oil, as highlighted in the material, is its speed of action.
Faster.
Often shows effects within days, apparently, which isn't always the case with natural remedies. Sometimes they take a bit longer to build up.
That rapid response, especially against tough, maybe resistant strains, it really underscores its reputation, doesn't it?
It really does. It highlights the potency locked within specific natural compounds like carvacrol.
Okay, next up, an oil we usually associate more with, relaxation and nice smells. Lavender oil.
Calming lavender.
But the sources reveal a surprising side to this gentle giant.
They certainly do. Research published in the Journal of Medical Microbiology, for instance, it unveiled significant antifungal properties in lavender oil.
Really? Against what?
Particularly effective against candida species and also dermatophytes. That's the group of fungi most commonly responsible for skin and nail infections, like athlete's foot.
Huh. So it's got this unexpected punch hiding beneath that calming aroma. What are the key compounds doing the work here?
The sources point to linalool and linoleic acetate as the primary active components.
Okay.
And they appear to work together, synergistically disrupting fungal cell walls and also inhibiting key enzymes that fungi need to grow and spread.
And a big advantage mentioned, I think, was its tolerance profile, like how well people handle it.
Absolutely. A study in the International Journal of Antimicrobial Agents specifically noted its effectiveness against fungi with minimal irritation to healthy human skin cells.
Minimal irritation. That's good.
Which makes it potentially an excellent option for sensitive individuals or maybe for use in more delicate areas.
Yeah, makes total sense. And, okay, there was a nail fungus trial mentioned that showed a 52% success rate over 6 months. Now, that might seem a bit lower than some others we've discussed, but the sources underscore the massive benefit of a complete absence of side effects in that trial.
Exactly.
For long-term use or for people with sensitive skin, that's incredibly valuable, isn't it?
It really is. It provides a perhaps gentler path to achieving results. It sort of validates that gentle giant moniker. It's effective, but with a very low risk of adverse reactions, according to these studies.
Okay, moving on to the citrus powerhouse. Lemongrass oil. Cymbopogon citratus. It certainly smells potent. Does the science confirm that?
It absolutely does. The primary active compound in lemongrass oil is citral. Typically makes up a huge chunk, like 65% to 85%. And studies, like one cited in the International Journal of Food Microbiology, show citral has powerful activity. Again, disrupting fungal membranes and interfering with essential internal processes.
And the breadth of its activity sounds striking, too.
Yes, the Mycopathology study referenced was quite extensive. It demonstrated effectiveness against, get this, 22 different fungal species.
22, wow.
And the sources highlight that because it seems to attack fungi through multiple mechanisms at the same time, it makes it particularly difficult for fungi to develop resistance to it.
That multi-target approach, that's a crucial advantage, especially with resistance being such a problem.
Exactly.
And like oregano oil, is it also known for speed? Does it work quickly?
It seems so. The Journal of Essential Oil Research noted effects observed within just 2 to 4 hours.
Hours.
Yeah. And the sources also share observations about its effectiveness against, stubborn toenail fungus. Visible improvements apparently often seen within just 2-3 weeks of consistent application.
2 to 3 weeks for visible changes on stubborn toenail fungus. That's remarkably fast for something known for being so slow to treat.
It really is. It speaks to the potency and the rapid action attributed to that high citral content.
Okay, on to our fifth oil. This is one you might not immediately think of as an antifungal heavyweight, maybe more of a supporter.
Yeah.
But the sources highlight a surprising role for sweet almond oil.
You're right. It's often just thought of as a carrier oil, isn't it? Good for diluting the stronger essential oils, good for moisturizing skin.
Yeah.
But research actually shows it possesses its own inherent antifungal properties.
It does. How?
Thanks to compounds like oleic and linoleic acid, which can also disrupt fungal cell membranes, just maybe less potently than the others.
Okay, so it's not just a passive base. It actually contributes a bit to the fight itself.
It does, but the sources seem to emphasize a different, perhaps more critical role for it.
Which is
Precisely its function as a delivery system. Research cited in the International Journal of Pharmaceutics demonstrates that using almond oil as a base significantly enhances the penetration of other antifungal compounds.
getting them deeper into the skin or nail.
Exactly, getting them where they need to go.
And there was a specific number mentioned that really stood out about its boosting effect, like how much it helped.
Yes, that was striking. The Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences found that when essential oils with known antifungal properties were combined with almond oil, their effectiveness was boosted by a remarkable 40 to 60% compared to using the essential oils alone.
40 to 60%. That's massive. It's like the perfect vehicle, getting the antifungal powerhouses where they need to go more effectively.
It makes it an absolutely invaluable component when you're formulating blends based on this research.
And that brings us neatly to a major insight highlighted throughout these sources. While individual oils are clearly potent, the real power, the real breakthrough, seems to lie in combining them.
Yes, the sources really drive home this concept of synergy. Sometimes it's referred to as the entourage effect.
Right.
The phytomedicine study mentioned illustrates this well, that multiple antifungal oils working together can significantly enhance effectiveness compared to just using one on its own.
And the why behind this synergy is fascinating, isn't it? How does it actually work?
Well, it's because these different oils, they attack fungi via different pathways, often simultaneously.
Okay, so like a multi-pronged attack.
Exactly. Some disrupt the cell membranes, like we discussed. Others interfere with the fungus's metabolism. Some block essential enzymes it needs. Others might even affect its DNA replication.
Wow.
And then you add almond oil boosting penetration for all of them.
Yeah.
You get this overwhelming assault that makes it much, much harder for the fungus to adapt or develop resistance.
So it's not just adding up their individual powers, they're actually amplifying each other's effects.
That's the idea of synergy, yeah. More than the sum of its parts.
And the sources point to specific clinical evidence for these combinations, which is obviously key. You need the proof.
Yes, absolutely. They highlight what sounds like a groundbreaking trial published in the International Journal of Dermatology. It specifically tested a combination of these 5 oils we've just discussed.
Okay, the tea tree, oregano, lavender, lemongrass, almond combo. And the results were?
They were truly remarkable, according to the source. That particular combination achieved an 83% success rate against fungal infection.
83%.
Yeah, which was significantly higher than the success rate seen with any single oil tested individually in that same context. Those ranged from about 45% to 62%.
That's a huge leap from the individual oils.
Right.
Really compelling figure.
And the study also apparently noted faster improvement and better long-term outcomes with the combination.
It just underscores that point about synergy making a dramatic difference.
Yeah.
And the sources note that this recognition of synergy is what has led to the development of professional, scientifically formulated blends.
Right.
Care Essentials is mentioned as an example of this approach.
Exactly. The idea is to move beyond just, say, mixing oils yourself at home, and instead create formulations based on the concentrations and ratios that have actually shown efficacy in clinical research.
So what sets these professional formulations apart, according to the sources, compared to, like, a DIY mix?
Well, it largely comes down to precision and quality control.
Okay.
Professional formulations aim to standardize the amount of those active compounds, the terpenophorol, the carvacrol, the citral for consistent potency, batch after batch.
Right, so you know what you're getting.
Exactly. They use ratios specifically designed for optimal synergy based on the studies and employ manufacturing processes that protect the integrity of these delicate oil compounds, which can degrade.
Makes sense.
The source even claims independent testing suggests these professional formulations can be like 3 to 4 times more effective than typical homemade mixes, mainly due to that standardization and optimized synergy.
3 to 4 times more effective. That's a significant difference. It highlights the complexity, doesn't it? It's not just about chucking ingredients together.
Not at all. And the sources also bring up a really critical issue in the essential oil market generally: quality and purity. Adulteration seems to be a real problem.
How so?
Well, many oils on the market might be diluted or synthetically altered, or maybe they just don't contain the active compounds at the levels needed to be effective. Grown in the wrong place, harvested incorrectly.
Right, inconsistent.
Very inconsistent. Professional formulations, as described in the sources, they supposedly undergo rigorous testing to ensure they meet pharmaceutical-grade standards for purity and potency, which is absolutely essential if you want consistent and effective results.
Okay, so after diving deep into all this research and validation from your sources, let's circle back to that initial question. Do natural oils really work against fungus? What's the kind of final verdict based on this material?
Well, the clear answer coming from these sources is a resounding yes. They are scientifically validated as effective treatments. The evidence points to real success rates, ranging from significant improvement with individual high-quality oils up to, like we saw, over 80% success with specific clinically tested combinations.
But, and this is crucial for you, the listener, if you're considering these options, there are vital caveats the sources emphasize.
Yeah.
What are those key factors for success? We need to be realistic here.
Absolutely. The absolute top factor, stressed repeatedly, is quality.
Quality, quality, quality.
Yes. As we just mentioned, low-grade or adulterated oils are dramatically less effective. The active compounds can vary by like 300, 400% between a low and high-quality product. You need potent, pure oil, period.
So where you get your oils,
Yeah.
the source, it matters tremendously. What else?
Consistency is key. This is really important. Unlike maybe a single-dose pill, natural treatments require diligent, long-term application.
Right, not a quick fix.
Not usually. The successful studies involved daily use, often for 3 to 6 months, sometimes even longer, especially for something stubborn like nail fungus.
Okay, so patience and routine are absolutely essential then.
Exactly. Third, severity affects outcomes. The sources suggest these approaches tend to be most successful with mild to moderate infections.
Okay.
While they can certainly help with severe cases, they might not be a standalone cure for very long-established, deep infections. Maybe more of a complementary approach there.
And finally, there's individual variation.
How someone responds can differ. It depends on factors like their unique skin type, their overall immune health, maybe even the specific strain of fungus involved. Not everyone reacts the same way to anything, natural or otherwise.
Right, so understanding these points, quality, consistency, severity, and individual variation, it's vital for setting realistic expectations, isn't it? And for maximizing the potential effectiveness if you, the listener, choose to explore these scientifically validated natural options.
Precisely. It's about being informed.
Looking ahead, the sources hint at some exciting future directions for research in this area. What's coming down the pike?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Things like using nanotechnology to enhance oil penetration even further.
Nanofoils, okay.
Genetic studies to maybe understand who might respond best to which specific oils. Exploring optimal ways to combine them, perhaps with minimal conventional treatments for a synergistic effect. And even developing things like time-release formulations for easier, maybe less frequent application.
And it's encouraging, too, to see this growing acceptance, or at least interest, within conventional medicine that the sources mentioned.
Definitely.
Studies appearing in major medical journals, dermatologists apparently increasingly recommending high-quality formulations for mild to moderate cases. It signifies a real integration, doesn't it, of this ancient wisdom with modern scientific practice.
It really does. It shows the conversation has matured, moving from perhaps outright skepticism to a more nuanced scientific exploration of how and why these natural compounds are effective.
So wrapping up our deep dive here, the sources clearly show that natural antifungal oils, they aren't just folk remedies anymore. They are scientifically validated, effective treatments based on the evidence presented.
And success with these approaches is heavily reliant on using high-quality products, applying them consistently over time, and leveraging that synergistic power,
Right.
which is often best achieved through carefully formulated blends, like the professional examples discussed, that are based on research.
Ultimately, based on this material, the choice isn't simply chemicals versus nature, is it? It's more about having validated natural options available
Exactly.
and understanding the science, the quality, the consistency, the synergy that actually makes them effective.
It's about making a truly informed decision, drawing on the evidence presented in your sources.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder. Considering how long natural remedies were used, passed down through generations, way before modern science could even begin to explain why they worked, what other forgotten pieces of ancient wisdom might still be out there, quietly waiting for their scientific validation?